Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiyaya. Nishpatrayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktirabhavati Naishtikim Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्से नमः जय श्री कृष्ण प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So we'll try to complete this chapter today. So devotees can read five translations. So it's a part of previous 20th unit only, but some of them Prabhu could not take it. So I'll take this section and then next week onwards, Krishna will take it. So in the chapter number 20, yes, 20, this shloka comes, Adrishtaya nam namaskritya nrapa sandarshitatmane avyaktāya cha devanam devāya svapuram yayu. Swapuram yayu. So Chakravarti Pad Vishwanath Chandra Thakur writes, Devaya Swapuram yayu. So King Prithu Maharaj then offered his respectful obeisances under the Supreme Person of Godhead, who is the Supreme Lord of all the demigods. Although not an object of material vision, the Lord revealed himself to the sight of Maharaj Prithu. So after offering obeisances to the Lord, the king returned to his home. Again, Prabhupada writes about Vyakta, Sandarshitatma here, and the purport ends here. But then he returned to his home. So what is the description of the home? That comes in the first three verses of the 21st chapter. Instruction by Maharaj Puttu. So devotees can read this translation now. We'll just try to go by translation. And Maitri Vacha Mautikai Mautikai Ushuma Shagbir Dukulai Svarnatoranai Mahasurabibir Dupair Manditam Tatra Tatra by Mautikai pearls, Kushuma flowers, Shagabir, different type of cloths. Dukulai, Shagabir is again garlands. Dukulai, it's a cloth. Svarna Toranai, Torana, you have fort. Torana fort, Rajgarh fort. Torana is a gate, the tie of mango, but here it is mentioned as gate. Mahasurabir, amazing fragrance of dupas, different incense. Manditam, Tatra Tatra Vai. It was decorated. The whole city appears to be decorated here. So, yes, translation. I think one devotee can read 5 because only 4 5 of us are here. So, we have to go to next 1.5 hour now. Yes, who will read? Yes, Mataji, Shubhalakshmi Mataji, please read.
The great sage Maitreya told Vidhi, when the king entered the city, it was very beautifully decorated to receive him with pearls, flower garlands, beautiful cloth, and golden gifts, and the entire city was perfumed with highly fragrant incense.
So Srila Prabhupada writes here, this is real opulence, like in Chaitan Bhagavat. I think Vrindadas Thakur writes. I think Maharaj was mentioning that what is real opulence? If some people have natural gifts, like they have farm, they have their own land, they are growing their own crops, they have fruits, and they have a natural relationship. That happens in most of the place in India. Maximum Indian is full of agricultural farm. Well, I think if water is there, like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there, whole Ganga was, the whole belt where he was staying was filled with Ganga. The fruits which are grown, the vegetables which are grown, they are very, very sweet. Prabhupada writes about that. So real opulence is what supplied by natural gifts such as gold, silver, pearls, valuable stones, fresh flower trees, and silken cloth. Nowadays, there is some event, some birthday, anniversary, marriage, or anything for that matter, everything is artificial. They bring artificial clothes. The clothes also, it's like fixed synthetic plastic flowers. And the gate is made of plastic or some fiber or it's POP. So that as soon as one person goes, the atmosphere moment it is same. The type of decoration they make, the type of perfumes they use, or type of the food is cooked. It's complete in passion and ignorance most of the time. Prabhupada is speaking here about the natural opulence. So there, Krishna Das Kaviraj, Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Thakur writes, what is real opulence? You have natural, everything is available locally, and you have amazing relationship. These two, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had both of them. And when he took sannyas, he left his amazing place where he had all the opulences of food, clothing, shelter, and he had such sweet relationship with Advaita Acharya and Shivas Thakur and all the personalities, but he left that and took sannyas. So similarly here, the Vedic civilization recommends opulence and decoration with these natural gifts of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such opulence immediately changes the condition of the mind and the entire atmosphere becomes spiritualized. King Pruthu's capital was decorated with such highly opulent decorations. So that is how any activity for that matter in Srirangam, we have almost of 365 days. We have festivals almost like 330, 40, almost just uh, almost out of 12 months, 10 and a half months festivals are there. And all the festivals, if you see carefully, they're such oriented in such a way that just by going there, a person feels spiritual ambience. So that is the glory of these festivals which are celebrated from the Vedic point of view. चंदना आगुरु तोयर्द्र रतया चत्वरा मार्गवत् पुष्पक्षात फलस्तोक्मेर लाजेर archibir architam. So Chandan and Aguru, the stem and the root of Aguru, they were distilled, they were boiled in water, and the fragrance was sprinkled. Toyardra, everything was sprinkled Rataye on the path, footpath. Chatvara Margavat in all small parks and also in lanes. That fragrance was prevalent. Pushpakshataha Phalai Rakshata, unbroken rice and fruits that was kept as hanging decoration everywhere. Phalai that is being written here. Minerals and Laje, wet grains, Archibir, by lambs, Architam. Basically, when Lord Pruthumar is coming, how he is being welcomed? He is being welcomed with a uh, lamp and akshata and unbroken flowers, unbroken fruits, and with all this fragrance, he is being welcomed when he's coming inside city. Yes, Mataj, please read.
Fragrant water distilled from sandalwood and aguru herb was sprinkled everywhere on the lanes, roads, and small parks throughout the city, and everywhere were decorations of unbroken fruits, flowers, wetted grains, varied minerals, and lamps, all presented as auspicious Spanish ceremonies.
This created the atmosphere of auspiciousness, as Prabhupada is saying in the previous verse. Sovereign, sovereignty kadali stambhai pugapotai parishkrutam taru pallava malabi sarvata samalankritam. Yes.
At the street crossings, there were bunches of fruits and flowers, as well as pillars of banana trees and different branches. All these combined decorations everywhere look very attractive.
Mm. So after the description of the city now, how they're welcoming him, how the Pruthumaraja arrives inside the city, that is being described. Prajastam Deepabalibi Samvrastaseshamangalai Abhiyurmushta Kanyascha Mrashta Kundala Manditaha. So Pruthumara is being welcomed by the people. Now the decoration was non-living basically. Now how the people, the Praja, the citizens, how they are welcoming. Here it is mentioned Mangalai Mrashta Kanyascha. So Mrashta Kanyascha Prabhupada mentions but cleansed. The cloth is cleansed and they are clean internally and externally. The Kanya is girls. They're clean not only the clothing outside, but also internally they are very pure. And that creates auspiciousness for anyone whom they worship. Or they take the Aarti paraphernalia and they are offering Aarti, welcoming the king. That creates auspiciousness. Yes, Mataji, please read.
As the king entered the gate of the city, all the citizens received him with many special articles like lamps, flowers, and yogurt. The king was also received by many beautiful unmarried girls, whose bodies were bedecked with various ornaments, especially with earrings which collided with one another.
Yes. So you can read from here. Similarly, the welcome.
Similarly, a welcome offered by unmarried girls who are internally and externally clean and are dressed in nice garments and ornaments is also sufficient. Married or unmarried girls, untouched by the hand of any member of the opposite sex, are auspicious members of the society. Even today in Hindu society, the most conservative families do not allow unmarried girls to go out freely or mix with boys. They are very carefully protected by their parents while unmarried. After marriage, they are protected by their own husbands, and when elderly, they are protected by their children. When thus protected, women of the class remain an always auspicious source of energy to me.
Yes. Shanka Dundubi Goshena Brahma Goshena Chatvijam Vivesha Bhavanam Veera Stuyamano Gatasmaya. Yes, Mataji.
When the king entered the palace, conch shells and kettle drums were sounded. Priests chanted Vedic mantras, and professional reciters offered different prayers. But in spite of all this ceremony to welcome him, the king was not the least bit affected.
Mm. So we here in the purport Prabhupada writes about that analogy. The tree which has fruits, it bends. The tree which has no fruits, it stands erect. So basically, the person who is satisfied in devotion and in emotion internally, he doesn't need respect or he doesn't have to show off externally. That's basically of ego. Maharaj also speaks in one of his class on series, volume one, volume two series on ego. There also Maharaj mentioned about this. That a person who is very egoistic, he demands respect. But the person who is satisfied, who is very spiritually surcharged, he commands respect. So here Prithu Maharaj is commanding respect. Although so much is happening around him, but he is not like sometimes when a person like politicians or the leaders nowadays, netas and other things, when they're given respect, they become like the monkeys when they get respect, they jump like anything. They are like they go out, their legs are not on the ground. And when they when they lose elections or when they lose something, when they are a failure, like many of the matches or many of the things which go on, their fans they burn their photo, they throw tomatoes on their everywhere. Their naras are given which are like very negatively they are told, then they will not come out of their homes for almost like 1 month or 2 months, and they're like ostrich which is like depressed completely. It puts its neck inside the soil just to avoid it. But here Prithu Maharaj is least undisturbed. So Prabhupada writes the purport. Mother, you can read the purport.
The reception given to the king was full of opulence, yet he did not become proud. It is said therefore that great personalities of power and opulence never become proud. And the example is given that a tree which is full of fruits and flowers does not stand erect in pride, but instead bends downwards to show submission. This is
Hmm.
a wonderful character of great personality.
Yeah. So basically, somebody is great internally, no? He doesn't need anything from outside. That doesn't mean that we should not, when a great personality comes, we should not receive him. We should. We'll get purified. But like when all these great personalities, when we give an amazing reception to them, even some like when Krishna went to Bhavalasva and Shrutikar. So when he went to one place, these two people, when he went to, I think, Sita Devi's birthplace. So there, Bhavalashva and Shrutikar. Bhavalashva was a simple person. Another person was a big king. So he gave a reception. He only was coming and dancing, and he only gave him chatai and he gave him some glass of water. Krishna was satisfied with that. At the different place when he went, the king gave him such amazing reception, and he had some personalities to dance and receive the Lord. He had a big arrangement. He had full chappan movement. Lord was happy with that. So that is Lord Shri Krishna. He is happy with anything. Similarly, those devotees who are completely taken shelter in Lord, they are also like this, that they don't need anything. But still, the person who offers, he gets purified. But in most of the cases, and when people are not so purified in heart, when they go, then when the slightest of ego, when the respect is not given, then a person says, "Arey, I should have been given this much, I should have been given that much, but nothing is offered." That is a sign of not a great personality. So this is one of the wonderful character of the great personalities. पूजिता पूजयमाश तत्र तत्र महायश पुराण जनापादं स्तं तं स्तं प्रीत प्रिय वरप्रदा. Yes, next somebody else can read. We'll read five of the shlokas.
Both,
Translation.
both,
Okay,
both the important
Gauri
citizens
can
and the
read.
common citizens welcomed
Yeah,
the
I can
king
read.
very heartily, and he also bestowed upon their desired blessings.
Okay. So citizens, which citizens? In this shloka it is coming, in the shloka. So Pujita Pujayamasa Tatra Tatra Mahayasha Purana Janapadam Stam Prita Priya Varaprada. So Mahayasha matlab uh, great activities of whom? Prithu Maharaj. Janapada, common citizens, and also uh, great personalities. Priya Vara Pradaha. So there are two personalities here, important citizens and also the citizens who are common. Mahayashaha and Janapada. Mahayasha matlab, like in a citizen, when in the whole India, it's almost like 100 uh, crore population. There will be some at least 100,000 people who are like have 1,000 to 1,500 to some thousands of people will be there who have got amazing fame, success. They are very rich. They're called Mahayasha. And remaining 99 crore, 99 lakh, 99,000 will be there who are like just common followers. They are in a routine thing and they are not got so much fame. But in this case, uh, both important citizens and common citizens, both of them could go and meet Prutu and get his blessings. And if they have any problem, they could have expressed. But present in democracy, only those people who are very rich, like Ambani, Adani, they can have access to Narendra Modi. Or somebody is very renounced and some big sannyasi or some big Sampradaya, Shankaracharya, or something like that. They can go and access very easily. But common citizens, for them to meet PM, for that matter, it's not so easy. But Purtu Maharaj's administration was so amazing that Mahayashaha and Janapadams, both of them could go and meet and they could express their desire, Prita Priya Varapradaha, and they could get blessings from the such uh, king like Purtu Maharaj. That is what Prabhupada writes here. So responsible king was always approachable by citizens, by both great achievers and those who are not simple people. So Prabhupada writes about what are the responsibilities of the king here. We can read this probably. The king knew this from here. Suryakan Krishna.
Uh, the king knew this, and therefore, whenever he met the citizens, he immediately fulfilled their desires or mitigated their grievances. In such a dealing, a responsible monarchy is better than a so-called democratic government, in which no one is responsible to mitigate the grievance of citizens who are unable to personally meet the supreme executive head. In a responsible monarchy, the citizens had no grievance against the government, and even if they did, they could approach the king directly for immediate satisfaction.
There was accessibility. As a leader, Pruthumara is even accessible. And although there was a team for leading the administration, even if they had some issues, the common masses could go and not only in Puthu Maharaj, that was the case with Lord Ramchandra, that was the case with Lord Krishna, and that is what we see in most of the Ramayana Mahabharata in well pious king's rule. Sayevam adinya anavadya chestita karamani Bhuyamsi Mahan Mahattama Kuruvan Shashasavani Mandalam Yasha Spitam Nityayaruri Paramam Padam. So in this shloka, Prabhupada speaks on Paramam Padam. So Paramam Padam can be referring to even Brahmajyoti. Paramam Padam can refer to even the lotus feet of Krishna. So Prabhupada highlights that in his purport. Yes, Prabhuji, please read the translation.
King Prithu was greater than the greatest soul and was therefore worshipable by everyone. He performed many glorious activities in ruling over the surface of the world and was always magnanimous. After which spread throughout the world that he attained total supremacy.
I think your network is breaking, Prabhuji.
Now, bro,
Uh,
King
network,
Prithu was greater than the greatest
fine.
soul.
You can read the purport, Prabhuji, purport. That is done.
Okay. A responsible king
I think you can switch off your
or
video.
a chief executive. Mm-hmm. Okay. A
Yes.
responsible king or chief executive has many responsible duties to attend to in ruling over citizens. The most important duty of the monarch of the or the government is to perform various sacrifices as enjoined in the Vedic literatures. The next duty of the king is to see that every citizen executes the prescribed duties for his particular community. It is the king's duty to see that everyone perfectly executes the duties prescribed for the Varna ashram divisions of society. Besides that, an exemplified by King Puthu, he must develop the earth for the greatest possible production of food grains.
Okay. So this is what Prabhupada is writing here. That is what is being highlighted in the translation. That he performed many glorious activities in ruling over surface of the earth. After achieving such great success and reputation spread throughout the universe, he at last obtained the lotus feet. So what is that activity of a king? To make sure that everybody is engaged according to its varna and ashrama. The greatest problem of the present Kali Yuga is the leader is not able to engage people according to Varna ashram because there is no system only. The only system is about technology. That is Prabhupada will write in the purport down in further sessions, further purports. And because of which there is no job satisfaction or work satisfaction. And because of which people want to cheat, commit crime. But king means to engage citizens according to their Varna ashrama, according to their prescribed duties, Varnas, ashramas, and to make sure that also they also perform because as grahasthas, there is brahmachari, there is grahastha, vanaprastha, sannyas. Varna means this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishudra. They should be engaged according to prescribed duties. As ashrama means the grahasthas, they have their sacrifice because they are like this stomach, they should perform sacrifice. And the sannyasis, they should guide the whole varna and ashrama. And brahmacharis, they should carry out continue their thing of menial services and study. And vanaprastha, they should do tapasya. So this is what one should be engaged. And as a king, he made sure, as Kshatriya, protected them and made sure that earth produced sufficient food grains for everyone to sustain. Because when a king is very demonic, like in his case, in his father's case, uh, the earth was not ready to give any food grains because she became very fearful. So then she thought that, this Vena is there, his son is Prutu, therefore this Prutu is also exploitative king. So then earth was not ready to give food grains after in Prutu's reign also. And Prutu had to personally exhibit the power of Vishnu's Shakti. Then the earth started giving grains, as you saw in the previous sections. Prabhupada writes here, Parampadam is Vaikuntha planet. Basically, after achieving all these things, he went back to Godhead. But Prabhupada writes here, Parampadam also means the impersonal Brahman region is also called Parampadam. But unless one is attached to the person of Godhead, one must fall down. Again, Prabhupada speaks about the 10th canto, 2nd chapter, 32nd verse. Aruchya krachena parampadam tata ishmadangraya. So unless and otherwise one doesn't become devotee, he may aspire for Brahma Jyoti, but he may not reach there. He may fall before that only. And Prabhupada speaking about Mahattama, Mahattara, three kinds of personalities. So there are three different types of great personalities: positive, comparative, superlative. King Pruthu exceeded all of them. He was Mahattama, greater than the greatest. That is the qualification of Pruthu Maharaj. That is being told here. Sutavacha तदादिराजस्य यशो विजृम्भितं गुणैरशेषैर्गुणवत्तसाभाजितं शत्ता महाभागवतो सदस्पते कौशारविं प्राह गृणतम् अर्चयान् शत्ता. Yes, Vidura. He's speaking to Vidura. Maitreya is telling to Vidura. Yes, Prabhu, please read.
Suta Goswami continued, O Shaunaka, the leader of the great sages, after hearing Maitreya speak about the various activities of King Puthu, the original king, who was fully qualified, glorified, and widely praised all over the world, Vidura, the great devotee, very submissively worshipped Maharishi and asked him the following question.
विदुरुवाच शोभिषिक्तः पुप्रतुर्विप्रेर्लब्धाशेषासुरर्अना बिभ्रत्स्वा वैष्णवं तेजो भावयोर्याभयां दुदोहगम्. Yes, please read.
Vidura said, My dear Brahmana Maitreya, it is time that King Prithu was enthroned by the great sages and Brahmanas. All the demigods presented him with innumerable gifts, and he also expanded his influence upon personally receiving strength from Lord Vishnu. Thus, he greatly developed the earth.
Yes. So basically, Prabhupada writes here, Puthu Maharaj is an important incarnation of Lord Vishnu, and he is a great Vaishnava devotee of the Lord. And demigods were pleased with him, and they presented a lot of gifts, royal power, great sages and saintly persons also joined in his coronation. And basically, with all his strength, he developed, as I told, Earth was not ready to give all the grains, but he personally milked and executed it. So Prabhupada writes here, regardless of whether the chief executive is a king or a president, the government is monarchical or democratic, this process is so perfect that if it is followed, everyone will become happy, and thus it will be very easy for all to execute devotional service to the Lord. What is that? To recognize Krishna consciousness. Here it is. Sabikshat Pritur Viprair Labadesha Suharanana Vibarta Sa Vaishnavam Tejo Bhavayor Yavadam Tuhugo Gama. If somebody is Krishna conscious king, he does for the pleasure of the Lord. Prabhupada writes here, no? Thus blessed by them, he rolled over the earth and exploited its resources for the great satisfaction of the people in general. This has already been explained in previous chapters. As will be apparent from the next verse, every executive should follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Puthu in ruling the kingdom. What is that? That will come in the next verse. Konva asya kirtim, konvasya kirtim na shunoti abhigno, yad vikramochishtam ashesha bhupa, loka sapala upajivanti kamam, adhyapitan me vadakarma khutam.
Prithu
Yes.
Maharaj was so great in his activities and magnanimous in his method of ruling that all the kings and demigods on the various planets still follow in his footsteps. Who is there who will not try to hear about his glorious activities? I wish to hear more and more about Prithvi Maharaj because his activities are so pious and auspicious.
So what his activities? He was Krishna conscious. Adokshajadiya. Adokshajadiya. That will come in 11th or 12th verse. So here Vidura is telling, Prithu Maharaj is such a standard example for any administrator, any leader for that matter. Who's the leader? A father and mother is the leader. Guru is the leader. A teacher is the leader. Or administrator is the leader. Basically, anybody who's having some people under him, whom they're guiding, whom they're responsible, they're leaders. What they should do? They should read Prithu's section and understand what he did. And from those glorious activities, they will get lesson for them how they can lead others. And what is the meaning of leading? Servant leader, acknowledging the Lord's hand in their life. Therefore, who will not hear about Vidura? He's saying, who will not hear about Prithu Maharaj over and over again? Because to set an example for ordinary kings and executive, Prabhupada is writing here. Saint Vidura's purpose in hearing about Prithu Maharaj over and over again was to set an example for ordinary kings and executive heads should all be inclined to hear repeatedly about Prithu Maharaj's activities in order to able to rule over their kingdoms or states very faithfully for the peace and prosperity of the whole people in general. And what is the mode? Mode is they are servants of Krishna. And on the servant of Krishna, they're just taking care of the people under them. But Prabhupada writing, unfortunately, at the present moment, no one cares to hear about Prithu Maharaj or to follow in his footsteps. Therefore, no nation in the world is either happy or progressive in spiritual understanding about. Although that is the sole aim and objective of the human life. Bhagavatam has everything. This chapter, 21st chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, if this one chapter, the United Nations, makes a syllabus for all the countries of the whole world, there will be no problem at all. That is what Prabhupada is writing here. Unfortunately, because no one cares to hear about this, therefore everybody is so selfish. They may tell that we are doing for a country, but mostly they are doing for their own family, or mostly they are doing for themselves. But here Prithu Maharaj was not only concerned about himself, not only concerned about his family, not only concerned about human beings, not only concerned about all the praja, includes everything. Prabhupada highlighted in further purports. Maitri Vacha Ganga Yamunayor Nadayor Antara Kshetram Avasam Arabdhan Eva Bhuvuje Bhogan Punya Jihashaya. So where was he situated? He was situated in the track between Ganga and Yamuna. Antarakshetram Avasam, and along with Bhujam, Bubuje, his hand, he was a Shaktavish incarnation of Lord Vishnu. He enjoyed. So should not think his enjoyment to be coming from past Prarabdha. But he thought like that out of his humility. Yes, Mataji, you can read.
Mhm. The the great saintly sage Maitreya told Vidura, my dear Vidura, King Prithu lived in the tract of land between the two great rivers Ganges and Yamuna. Because he was very opulent, it appeared that he was enjoying his destined fortune in order to diminish the results of his past pious activities.
Yeah, that was humility. So Prabhupada writes here. You can read the first till here. Yes. Yeah. Shaktavish Avatar, first 4 lines.
The terms pious and impious are applicable only in the reference to the activities of an ordinary living being. But Maharaja Prithu was a directly empowered incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, he was not subject to the reactions of pious or impious activities. As we have already explained previously, when a living being is specifically empowered by the Supreme Lord to act for a particular purpose, he is called a Shaktavesh avatar. Prithu Maharaj was not only a Shaktavesh avatar but also a great devotee. A devotee, a devotee is not subjected to the reactions resulting from past deeds. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said, "Karmani nirdhati kintu cha bhakti bhajan." 5. BG, BS 5.52 Brahma Samhita. For devotees, the results of past pious and impious activities are nullified by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The words Arab, Arabdhan Eva means as if achieved by pious deeds, past deeds. But in the case of Prithu Maharaj, there was no question of reaction to past deeds, and thus the word Eva is used here to indicate comparison to ordinary persons. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Ojananti Mam Mudha. This means that sometimes people misunderstand an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be an ordinary man. The Supreme Godhead, his incarnations or his devotees may pose themselves as ordinary men, but they are never to be considered as such. Nor should an ordinary man, not supported by authorized statements of the Shastras and Acharyas, be accepted as an incarnation of devotee. By the evidence of Shastra, Sanatan Goswami detected Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be a direct incarnation of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although Lord Chaitanya never disclosed the fact, it is therefore generally recommended that the Acharya or Guru should not be accepted as an ordinary man.
Yes. So Prithu Maharaj, out of his humility, he is telling, okay, it's being discussed here that because he was very opulent, it appeared that he was enjoying his destined fortune in order to diminish the result of his past pious activities. That is what Vidura is explaining here. Maitreya is linked to Vidura, but one should not misunderstand it. He was not an ordinary person. Eva, when Maitreya is saying here, Ganga Yamuna Nadayor Antar Kshetram Avasam Arabdan Eva. This word Eva is a hint that he is not ordinary. He is Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hektavish Avatar. This is an important condition. सर्वत्राक्षालिता देशः सप्तद्वीपैकदण्डदृक् अन्यत्र ब्राह्मणकुलात् अन्यत्र गोत्रः, on whom Prithu Maharaj had control and on whom he felt I should not control them. Vaishnavas अन्यत्र अच्युत गोत्रः, ब्राह्मणकुलात् अन्यत्र ब्राह्मणकुलात् अन्यत्र अच्युत गोत्र, except for Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. He had power of attorney over the whole world. Saptadvipaikai Dandadrik. He had the power to punish citizens of all the 7 islands. Prabhupada mentioned what 7 islands are. Yes, Mataji, please read.
Maharaja Prithu was an unrevealed king and possessed the scepter for ruling all the 7 islands on the surface of the globe. No one could disobey his irrevocable orders, but the saintly persons, the Brahmanas, and the descendants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Vaishnavas.
Yeah, it means he was controlling and was punishing everyone except Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, because Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are already there in goodness. Brahmanas in goodness and Vaishnavas in pure goodness. So then remaining people who are in ignorance and passion, they need Shastra. But Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, they go by Shastra. So people on goodness, they read the Shastras and they understand what should be done, what should not be done. But people who can't access Shastras, they has to be disciplined by Shastras. And that is the reason he had irrevocable orders only for them. So Prabhupada writes here in the purport, Saptadvipa refers to Asia, Europe, Africa, North America, South America, Australia, and Oceania. And modern day people think that, okay, all this was America and other things were undiscovered, has been recently discovered, and Columbus went to that place. But that was the case. Prithu Maharaj had sovereignty over the whole 7 island, and the king used to sit not in America or somewhere else, but he was living in a tract in between. Here, Prabhupada writing here, the country where Prithu Maharaj resided, where he was ruling the whole world with 7 islands. In this case, he's writing Saptadvipa, 7 islands, that is 7 continents. And he was sitting where? In the place called Brahmavarta. And that was the kingdom in between Ganga and Yamuna. And that is a portion of Punjab and northern India. It is clear that kings of the India once ruled all over the world. And their culture was Vedic. Just before Kali Yuga started. In case of Prithu Maharaj, even if it's in first canto, 16, 17 chapter, what to speak of this Saptadvipa? Even Parikshit Maharaj is ruling about the whole 9 islands. That is, if you come to the 5th canto, it will be much more clear to you what are the different dvipas. There is different dvipas, which are not only just globe, Bharata Varsha, Bharata Khande. Now it is Prabhupada is explaining from the point of Bharata Khande, globe, which is coming also in the verse. But there is also Bharata Varsha, which are 7 more islands like Bharata globe. And again, there are 9 more islands, 9 more Varshas like Bharata Varsha. And Parikshit was having sovereignty over all those things. So Prabhupada writes about here, Achyuta Gotra. The words Akshalita indicates that orders by the king could not be disobeyed by anyone in the entire world. And as I told, people who are in ignorance and passion, they need the Shastra. But Prabhupada writes here, Lord Krishna is not Achyuta. Achyuta refers to one who does not fall. He is never influenced by the modes of material nature. When a living entity falls down to the material world from his original position, he becomes Chutta, which means that he forgets his relationship with Achyuta. That means people who are forgetful of their relationship, they need punishment, they need training and other things. They need control. But those already, Achyuta Gotra means those who have revived their relationship with the Lord, Prithu Maharaj did not bother them much. That freedom they had got because already their purpose is revived because they revived their relation with the Lord. So actually, every living entity is a part and parcel or a son of the Supreme Person of Godhead. When influenced by the modes of material nature, a living entity forgets the relationship in different species. So Prabhupada brings it here. Okay. Achyuta Gotraya. Different Gotras are different designations or distinction in different terms of material body. But when it comes to Krishna consciousness, he immediately becomes one of the Achyuta Gotra, or its descendants of the Supreme Person of Godhead, and thus becomes the transcendental to all consideration of caste, creed. What is the meaning of Achyuta Gotra? Gotra means this particular Rishi. There's Sandilya Rishi, there is Kashyap Rishi, there is Bharadwaj Rishi, and whose Gotra, seminal lineage we are all coming. That is mentioned, that is, one has to mention before any of the yajnas or any of the sacrifices one sits. But here, when one revives one's relationship with the Supreme Lord, the soul is ultimately coming from Lord Himself. The body may come from different rishis, but the soul is directly coming from where? Supreme Person of Godhead. And therefore, when a person revives that relationship with the Supreme Lord, his Gotra becomes Achyuta Gotra. And irrespective of whether it's born in Shudra family, or born in a Brahman family, or born in Kshatriya family, Vaishya family, one who has revived his relation with the Supreme Lord, one become one caste, one creed. What is that? Achyuta Gotra. Yes, Mataji, you have some question?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु धन्यवाद प्रणाम प्रभु जी अभी एक्चुअली हमारी जब दीक्षा हुई थी ना तो यहाँ पे भी हमने अच्युत गोत्र बोला था
बहुत अच्छा है very good. That means what? Diksha? Whether somebody gets Diksha or somebody starts chanting Hare Krishna. Means somebody and becomes very serious about chanting, becomes Krishna conscious, starts chanting, offering prasad. He knows Vaishnavas are my relatives, Guru is my father, Granth is my mother. That is Achyuta Gotra. And officially, when we also get connected to the Parampara, that is also Achyuta Gotra. So Prabhupada highlights here, because most of the time when Prabhupada came from West to India with all the Western disciples, the caste Goswamis objected it. Prabhupada mentions this in Nectar of Instruction very clearly. And for them he's trying to tell that one should not think those who are not born in the Brahman family and they're coming from different country and they are like unclean, they are muchi. No. Arache Vishnu Shiladir Guruscho Naramatir Vaishnava Jati Buddhir Vishnurva Vaishnavam ka Kalimala Matena Padatirte Ambubudhi. Basically, what? One who thinks the deity in the temple to be made of wood or stone. Basically, material. One is seeing deity materially. One who thinks of spiritual master in the disciplic succession as an ordinary man. Sometimes when you see spiritual master also brushing, coughing, omitting, or we see him when he becomes old, he's also eating, and sometimes disciple has to clean, like Narottam Das Thakur used to clean the stool of his guru, Alochan Das Thakur. And that time, but he never thought it to be material. He understood it. But people, when they are not very qualified, they can see them. When they are not having a spiritual vision, they can see the spiritual side of a guru, of a deity, of a one Vaishnava. So one who thinks the Vaishnava and the Achyuta Gotra to belong. See, this is not in the translation. This shloka is there. This shloka comes in again Padma Puran, which is being quoted in Annoyai. But here Prabhupada is mentioning here because the shloka is mentioning Achyuta Gotra. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying one who thinks of Vaishnava and Achyuta Gotra to belong to a certain caste and creed, or who thinks of a Charanamrita or Ganges water as ordinary. Sometimes Ganges water may carry some dead body or some basma in Varanasi and other places. But who thinks of big, oh, Ganges is so dirty, I'll not take bath. That is also material vision. Huh? So therefore, was making it very clear. So once people start chanting Hare Krishna and they come to Krishna consciousness, and especially if they're initiated, one should not dwell into this aspect of caste, creed, which religion, which everything. एकादशीन्महासत्र दिक्षु तत्र दिवौकशं समाजो ब्रह्मर्षिं च राजर्षिं च तमा Sarma Prutu Maharaj is getting ready to perform sacrifice. That is being narrated by Maitreya to Vidura. Yes, Mataji, please read.
Once upon a time, King Prithu initiated the performance of a very great sacrifice in which great saintly sages, brahmanas, demigods from higher planetary systems, and great saintly kings known as Rajarshis all assembled together.
Yes, Ekadasham means at one point of time. So here Prabhupada writes that Prithu Maharaj was staying in Bharatava Khanda, in between Ganga and Yamuna, and Brahmanas, demigods, all these Pitras, everybody is coming. Pitras are from moon planet, demigods are from different planets. Indra is from Indra, there is Indraloka, Amravati, and their different demigods have their own heavenly kingdoms, but they are coming. That means they have to come to the earth, and they came in what? Different suitable airplanes and space vehicles. That formerly the demigods used to come to the planet, and also great personality Arjuna and Yudhishthira also they went to heavenly. That means there was access, but that access is broken in Kali Yuga. Like Saraswati was accessible, but river Saraswati is not accessible now for the people of Kali Yuga. Text 14. Tasmin arhatasu sarveshu swa architeshu yatartah uttita sadaso madhye taranam udaradiva. Yes, I think this is last. Yes, Mataji, please read this one last one.
Yes. In that great assembly, Maharaja Prithu first of all worship all the respectable visitors according to their respective positions. After this, he stood up in the midst of the assembly, and it appeared that the full moon had arisen amongst the stars.
Okay, so Prabhupada is comparing here this system of Vedic where great personalities they arrange a sacrifice. Is comparing with in case of Maharaj Yudhishthir's Rajasuriya sacrifice, Krishna took charge of washing the feet of visitors. Similarly, Maharaj Prithu also arranged for the proper reception of the demigods, the saintly sages, the Brahmanas, and the great kings. Pramshupinayata bhujo gaura kanja runekshana sunasa sumuka saumya pinamsha sudvijasmita. So here, because Prithu Maharaj is the ruler, the king, so his beautiful bodily features are mentioned in this shloka. Yes, Maharaj, please read.
King Prithu's body was tall and
Sturdy.
and his complexion
Was fair. His arms are full and
broad, and his arms were full and broad, and his eyes as bright as the rising sun. His nose was straight, his face very beautiful, and his personality grave. His teeth were set beautifully in his smiling face.
yes. So basically, Prabhupada mentions here in the four orders, Brahmana, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. Kshatriyas, both men and women, are generally very beautiful, as will be apparent from the following verses. So it is to be concluded that not only are Maharaj Prithu's bodily feature attractive, but he had specific auspicious signs. Generally, Prabhupada is mentioning that generally Kshatriyas, if you see carefully, they are very tall, hefty thighs, biceps, and everything, basically face, everything will be there. But just don't think Prithu Maharaj should be ordinary king or Kshatriya. He has having auspicious signs in the bodily construction of a Mahapurusha. He is a sective avatar of Lord Vishnu. And basically, Prabhupada mentioning about the face. Face is the index of the mind. Many times, face can be the index of mind. This can mean what? Can somebody tell what Prabhupada is trying to? When we speak about face is the index of the mind, what it means? Prabhupada is writing here in the purport two things, but I want to know from all of you. Like when we suddenly say face is in the index of the mind, it can represent two things.
Facial expressions show what is there in the mind. Face shows what is there in the mind.
Basically, when you're sitting and speaking with somebody, you can understand what is going on in mind. Is he disturbed? Is he happy? Another thing. That is one thing. And that is just present, gross thing. But there is also face is the index of the mind, also indicates Prabhupada writing in the purport here. Two things. Facial features, one can understand the mental constitution. Another thing Prabhupada is mentioning here is that what activities one has done in the past life at the moment of death when he leaves the body. Same thought process he brings, and based on that, he gets a particular body with a particular karma, with particular parents, with particular strength, wealth, kingdom, sovereignty, everything. So from phase, the index of the mind can refer to right now. When like modern psychologists say, okay, whatever is there in the mind comes out when we see a face person, we can understand happy, jolly, sad, whatever it is. And also by face one can understand why, if you see carefully, there's so many faces we see, but not each one face is same like others. That shows that people are having different karmic background and they're having a different face cut. And not just a face cut, not just a beauty, it's about the whole prarabdha karma. That is what Prabhupada is writing here. That this is a proof of transmigration of the soul. Whatever is there in the subtle body, that comes out in the cross body. Amazing, Prabhupada brings out the purport. Huh? Here is the beauty of Prithu Maharaj being described, but he's trying to bring the concept of transmigration of soul in this. Yudhya Vaksha Shronir Valivalgu Dalodaraha Avartanabir Ojashvi Kanchanoro Udagrapat. Yes, next. We'll read. I think 3 devotees finished. Okay, please read. Yogini Priya. Mataji. There's a lot of background music, I think, around you. You'll be able to read?
Yes, Proji. Translation. The chest of Maharaj Prithu was very broad, his waist was very thick, and his abdomen, wrinkled by the lines of skin, resembled in construction a leaf of a banyan tree. His navel was coiled and deep, his thighs were of a golden hue, and his instep was arched.
Yeah. Sukshma Vakrashita Snigdha Murdaja Kambukandaraha Mahadane Tukulagrehe Paridayopavahi Cha Paridayopavahi Vyacha. So now that Putuma is having such amazing personality, he's wearing a black deer skin for okay. Or again,
Translate.
please read the translation. That will come in the next verse. Yes.
Translation. The black, sleek hair on his head was very fine and curly, and his neck, like a conch shell, was decorated with auspicious lines. He wore a very valuable dhoti, and there was a nice wrapper on the upper part of his body.
Yeah, that was Uttari. So he's having this Raja Vesha. Venjitaशेष गत्रश्रीर् नियमे न्यस्तभूषणः कृष्णाजिनाधर श्रीमान् कुशपाणि कृचोचितः. This is coming in this verse. Venjita Ashesha Gatra Srir Niyame Nesta Bhushanaha was well dressed with garments. He gave up the garments, the kingly garments, very beautiful garments he was wearing. He gave up that and he wore Krishna Jina Dara Shriman. Krishna Jina means black deer's skin. Kushapanin Kratochitaha. Because he's going to perform sacrifice, he gave up the aristocratic garments and he wore just a deer skin. And he was just a deer skin and he was wearing a kusha grass on his uh, ring finger. That is how they do it while performing sacrifice. So his beauty came out very amazing. It's like gold which is having a lot of cover. Then it is not so diamond which is covered with the gold, it is not visible. But when the diamond is alone without the gold covering, it sparkles like anything. So now all the garments have been when Prithu Maharaj has removed his kingly garments and only wearing like simple, when we go for worship, we have just a uttari and one simple dhoti. All the bodily features of Prithu Maharaj being visible to all this. That is what seen our Vidura and Maitreya. They are able to, Maitreya is explained to Vidura. This kind of body structure of Prithu Maharaj was visible. Yes, Mataji, please read.
Translation. As Maharaj Prithu was being initiated to perform the sacrifice, He had to leave aside his valuable dress, and therefore his natural bodily beauty was visible. It was very pleasing to see him put on a black deerskin and wear a ring of pusha grass on his finger, for this increased the natural beauty of his body. It appears that Maharaj Prithu observed all the regulative principles before he performed the sacrifice.
Imagine, recently many people are sending a movie, video clip or clip where Narendra Modi is coming for opening a Kargar temple ceremony. He came, but he was in his attire. He had his kurta, his pajama, he had everything. He did not do anything. He might have just removed his shoes, that's it. But he did not remove that and wore a dhoti or uttari and came to the sacrificial arena. That was not the case. But you can see in the case, and he's just a king. He's just a prime minister of only one country, small India. But in this case, Prathumar is the whole Shaptadvipa Raja, Adipati. But he, because he's a devotee, understands if I have to perform sacrifice, I have to do this. Again, when Ram temple opening was there, surely uh, he had done a lot of fasting and he slept on a plain floor and he came in that uttari and everything. All those things he followed there in that protocol. So that is there surely one may say, yeah, in the temple opening he did all those things. But I'm telling in general, which king, present day king will do all these things? But that is the Vedic king and the modern leader. What the difference is? Vedic leader is a devotee, but the modern leader, they have a sentiment of a devotee to some extent, or like in case of our PM. But most of the people, they don't know also what is happening in UK or in US. If a president comes for some ceremony, he'll just sit in pant shirt and his presence, he thinks I'm come here. That is the greatest benefit I'm giving to all of you. But the mood is not that it's a big sacrifice and there's some person above me. I'm his representative. I should also become humble and follow the protocol. He'll not accept that. That is what I'm highlighting here. King Prithu is following the protocols, which is meant for pleasing the Supreme Person Lorded, because he is devotee himself. Shishira snigdata raksha samekshata samantata uchchivanidam urvisha sada samharshayan iva.
Translation: just to encourage the members of the assembly and to enhance their pleasure, King Prithu glanced over them with eyes that seemed like stars in a sky wet with dew. He then spoke to them in a great voice.
Basically, he had a concern, like Chaitanya Chand was sharing when he met His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. First time he started going to US, he got a feedback that his most of the classes are very technical, and he tells I make PPT and all those things. Then Maharaj replied to him, Radhanath Swami Maharaj replied to him, yeah, Gaur Gopal Prabhu can speak humorously, you speak scientifically, and if you Gaur Gopal Prabhu start speaking scientifically like you, or you start becoming humorous, that will not match. But I don't speak scientifically, not humorously, but only one thing what I do is I have a concern for people to whom I'm speaking, that they should become Krishna conscious. They should understand. They should not go away. They should come close. So therefore, similarly here you can see Prithu Maharaj glanced over them with eyes that seemed like stars in a sky but with you. What is that? He's going to address all of them. And he's a concern for all of them. That concern is what? They should follow the system, what Lord has established. That is, they should be aligned with the principle of Isha Vashamidam Sarvam Yat Kincham Jagatam Chat. So he's going to start the speech now. He's going to start his class now in the next shloka, 20th. Charuchitram padam shlakshnam brishtam gudam aviklavam sarvesham upakaratam tada anu vadam iva.
Maharaj Prithu's speech was very beautiful, full of metaphorical language, clearly understandable and very pleasing to hear. His words were all grave and certain. It appears that when he spoke, he expressed his personal realization of the absolute truth in order to benefit all who were present.
Yeah, this word, in order to benefit all who are present, that speaks about the concern. So when we, like most of you are who spend here, they're initiated or You have been into movement last 15 years, 10, 20 years, 30 years. Most of you will be having some audience where you guide or you speak, but the whole underlying principle should be we should have a concern, or when we are doing some seva, that anything, whether it's giving a class or whether it's counseling or whether it is guiding, the whole thing should be the person should be benefited. That will happen when we have a concern for that person. So next shloka. Rajuvacha Shabya Shruto Bhadram va Sadava Iha Gataha Satsu Jitnyasubhir Dharmam Avedam Swamanishitam Manishitam. Yes, Mataji, next. We have finished 4 devotees. Mataji, you can read. Shiromani Radhika Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Translation. King Prithu said, O gentle members of the assembly, may all good fortune be upon you. May all of you great souls who have come to attend this meeting kindly hear my prayer attentively. A person who is actually inquisitive must present his decision before an assembly of noble souls.
Yeah, Chakravartipad mentions here, Rajavacha Sabhya Shrunuto Bhadram va. This word Shabya, addressing the ladies and gentlemen. Gentlemen. Sabhya indicates sadhus. Sadhu, we say, na, Shrunuto. So he's addressing Sabhya. People who are Sabhya, cultured, who are non-envious. Why? Because Chakravartipad writes there, and even Prabhupada is also going to write in the purport, that whenever there's a leader or a king, for that matter, there will be some people who are envious, who are enemies. Like Yudhishthira was called as Ajata Shatru. He never considered anybody as his enemy, but Duryodhana and party, they considered Yudhishthira as enemy. So in the case of Prithu also, he never considered anyone as an enemy. But surely there were some people in the whole audience who considered Prithu Maharaj as an enemy. And therefore, Shilling, they will not take this instruction anyway very seriously. But those who are Sabhya, who are gentlemen or gentlewomen, please hear this instruction. I am speaking it for those who are non-envious and who are sadhus, who are noble. May good fortune unto you. Sadhava, all the great souls. Again, this Sabhya, Sadhavaha, Ya Ihagataha. Sadhava, Ya Ihagata. This is indicating those who are present here in the assembly, Sadhava, Ihagataha. Like in Prabhupada also writes in this purport of first canto, fifth chapter, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. Tadva visargo janataga viplava yashmin pati shlokam abhittapit kim namani antasya shunti kanyach srunanti gunmanti gayanti sadhavaha. What is the meaning of that? What he writes, that is one shloka which comes in all the cantos of Bhagavatam in the introduction. Please read carefully. There also this word sadhava comes. What is the meaning of sadhavaha? What makes a difference between sadhu? Who can be called a sadhu? Sadhu means sadhava ya ihagataha ya shunvanti gayanti grananti sadhava. Prabhupada writes in purport, when I'm compiling this Srimad Bhagavatam and I'm writing this purport, and surely because it is being from Sanskrit to English, and surely there will be some mistakes in compilation, it is Uttama Shloka, but people who are saintly, they will take benefit from it. They'll accept it. So whenever we also come to practice Krishna consciousness, surely there will be so much of management issues. Surely in most, because we have ISKCON in the material world. Prabhupada told ISKCON is not different from it. This is ISKCON is Prabhupada's body. So what will make us sadhus? Despite all the odds, despite all the difficulties, despite all the managerial issues in ISKCON, rather than seeing the negative side of it, as Prabhupada is writing in the purport of 1.5.15 or 14, or in this purport which Chakravarti Maharaj is going to mention in this, if we can see the brightest side of ISKCON, and with that inspiration, we can practice Krishna consciousness and convey this kind of legacy to people who are coming, who are in touch with us. That will make us sadhus, and that will also make them sadhus, and that will give them the vision which nobody can give them. So that is what Prabhupada is going to mention here in this. Sadhava ya ihagata, Despite some shortcomings in the literature of Srimad Bhagavatam compilation in English, I know saintly people will accept it wholeheartedly. And Prabhupada gives the example of when there is fire, I may not be able to convey there is fire. If a Chinese person is there in US, and if the Spanish person is there, the Chinese person may not know Spanish language, but just by the expression, they can express that there is fire. So similarly, there is a fire, Samsara Dava, and ISKCON has come. And surely there will be many issues because with whom we are taking people from this world only. But we should try to ignore those things, negativities, and try to focus on the positivities. That is meaning of sadhava. Yes, Mataji, please read this purport. Very important purport.
In this verse, the word sadhava, all great souls, is very significant. When a person is very great and famous, many unscrupulous person become his enemies. For envy in the for envy is the nature of materialists. In any meeting, there are different classes of men, and it is to be supposed, therefore, that because Prithu Maharaj was very great, he must have had several enemies present in the assembly, although they could not express themselves. Maharaja Prithu, however, was concerned with persons who were gentle, and therefore he first addressed all the honest person, not caring for the envious. He did not, however, present himself as a royal authority empowered to command everyone, for he wanted to present his statement in humble submission before the assembly of great sages and saintly persons. As a great king of the entire world, he could have given them orders, but he was so humble, meek, and honest that he presented his statement for approval in order to clarify his mature decisions. Everyone within this material world is conditioned by the modes of material nature and therefore has four defects. But although Prithu Maharaj was above all these, still like an ordinary conditioned soul, he presented his statements to the great souls, sages, and saintly persons present there.
Yes. Basically, on one hand, he's a incarnation, but he's giving a benefit of doubt to his followers. He is knowing that there will be all section will not accept me, and therefore he's not commanding way, but he's in a humble, meek way, he's trying to present. So this is how, when a person presents with authority anything, it's not that we're coming in parampara, that is right. But after coming in parampara, the mood, the attitude, and the concern, that also matters. So this is how Prabhupada is highlighting this thing, that how a speaker should present the philosophy of Krishna consciousness to the audience in general. And it's expected that not everybody will be on our side. There will be some people who will, most of the time we become upset when the people whom we preach and they come and they grow, they start chanting, and sometimes they are only not so favorable to us. That is not normal. That is normal. From here you can understand that is normal. When Pruthus in Satyuga was also there, in Treta also it was there, in Kali and Dwapar Yuga also it is there. In Kali Yuga it is more and more. So when you understand, when you read Bhagavatam, that is how Prabhupada purports and these sections we can understand by Acharya's commentaries. You can understand how we are not immune to people who will go against us. That will happen with us also. But we should, what we do is, when we see somebody in a crowd or somebody in a group, somebody's like that who are against what we speak or what we understand, we generally think is we try to orchestrate them, or we make a label on them and we try to send them out, or we never give them an opportunity. But that is not the case here with Prithu Maharaj. So for gentle and meek, he's giving the advice, and in humble spirit, he's trying to present to everyone. So that even those envious people are there, even they can also speak out and try to take this message and apply it. So now, next shloka, 22. Aham dandadaro raja prajanam yayojita rakshita vritida sveshu setushu stapita pratak. Aham dandadaro raja. I have given the scepter, I have given the authority to rule the citizens. Why? Prajanam iha yojitaha, protect them. Rakshita. Prajanam iha yojita rakshitaha, protect the prajas. Vrittida sveshu, seteshu stapita pratak. So I have been engaged, I have been employed, the Supreme Person of lauded to protect the citizen from danger engage them according to their varna and ashrama, employment, and respect to social order by the Vedic injunctions. Shetushu stapitak prataha. Yes, Mataji, please read the translation.
Translation. King Prithu continued, by the grace of Supreme Lord, I have been appointed the king of this planet, and I carry the scepter to rule the citizens, protect them from all danger, and give them employment according to their respective position in the social order established by Vedic injunction.
Yeah, Prabhupada writes here, basically as a king, what is the duty for king is, there are 4 varnas, there are 4 ashramas, and all are having their own engagements. So to make sure that they're employed according to their nature, varna, ashrama, and especially as grasthas, they perform the sacrifice. As vanaprasthas, they are engaged in tapasya. As sannyasis, they are in renounced order and they are in brahma jidnyasa. And as brahmacharis, they are in shastra adhyan. And as brahmana, kshatriya, vaishudra, brahmanas are inclined class. Again, this in detailed, this first canto, 15th chapter, Bhishma section, I think 22nd, 23rd verse, their description comes of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. There Prabhupada gives an elaborate purport on Brahmana, this whole 4 Varanas, and only one paragraph on Ashramas. What Prabhupada makes is engagement is so important. People are engaged happily according to nature, that itself is like most 50-60% work done. Ashram doesn't matter so much if the engagement is very proper. The ashram is basically meant for detaching from this world and going back to Godhead. The same thing Prabhupada mentions here. So here, last paragraph we can read, Mataji. Prajayate iti praja.
Prajayate iti praja. The word praja refers to one who takes birth. Therefore, Prithu Maharaja guaranteed protection for Prajanam, all living entities who took birth in his kingdom. Praja refers not only to human beings but also to animals, trees, and every other living entity. It is the duty of the king to give all living entities protection and food. The fools and rascals of modern society have no knowledge of the extent of the responsibility of the government. Animals are also citizens of the land in which they happen to be born, and they also have the right to continue their existence at the cost of the Supreme Lord. The disturbance of the animal population by wholesale slaughter produces a catastrophic future reaction for the butcher, his land, and his government.
Yeah, one who kills the animal, butcher, the land there is killing, and the government which is in charge. So most of the time we see, some states, Gomata's hatya is allowed, some it is not allowed. So some places where people are having dharmic CMs like Himachal Pradesh or Uttarakhand or wherever it is, they completely banned it. I don't know about Maharashtra, but yeah, in place of Gujarat and other places. But some places where there is a communist or different government, they have it. The problem is,
I think Gujarat also, Prabhuji, Gujarat also.
okay, Gujarat also. So what the problem is, whenever when somebody kills animal, what to speak of normal animals, what to speak of cow. So this is Prabhupada speaking about population wholesale slaughter. Any animal, the butcher who's killing his land, his government completely gets doomed. The whole state, the person who is doing it, everybody. This is for normal animal. What to speak of cow? There's no question of it, because cow Prabhupada mentions in the first canto again in 17th, 18th chapter of first canto, Parikshit Maharaj and Dharma and Prithvi, that discussion. Cow is such an amazing animal, amazing creature. It's not animal, it's like a mother, whose cow dung, whose products like cow dung and cow urine, even those are used for sacrifice or for medicinal purpose. That means anything of Gomata is completely used. Even the way, basically excreta and the urine is a waste of anybody. But even that of cow is utilized for medicinal purpose and for sacrifices and for purification in the yajnas. So what kind of creature is mother cow. So what to speak of people who kill them? So therefore that point Prabhupada makes it in the purport. So the butcher, the land and the government, everything gets catastrophic reaction they get. Tasyametad anushtanat yan ahur brahmavadina lokasyu kama sandoha yasya tushyati dishtrika. Translation, Mother.
Maharaj Prithu said, I think that upon the execution of my duties as king, I shall be able to achieve the desirable objectives described by experts in the Vedic knowledge. This destination is certainly achieved by the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the seer of all destinies.
Yes. Atha Bombay Divashreshta Varnashrama Vibhagasa Sanushtitas Dharmasa Samsiddhim Haritoshanam. So according to the caste and order and according to one's inclination, whatever activities one do, that is only meant for pleasing Lord Hari. So in Prithu Maharaj, the king is engaging the whole praja according to their nature and for the pleasure of the Lord. Ultimately, he as a king and those who are under him, they will get the same ultimate satisfaction of pleasing the Lord. And that is what Prabhupada is writing in this proverb here. Perfection of one's execution of his appointed duties is the ultimate satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. The word Kama Sandoha means achievement of the desired result. And what is that? Everyone desires to achieve the ultimate goal of life. But in modern civilization, Mataji can read from it. Everyone desires this.
Everyone desires to achieve the ultimate goal of life, but in modern civilization, the great scientists think that man's life has no plan. The gross ignorance is very dangerous and makes civilization very risky. People do not know the laws of nature, which are the ruling of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because they are atheists of the first order, they have no faith in the existence of God and His ruling, and therefore do not know how nature is working. This gross ignorance of the mass of people, including even the so called scientists and philosophers, make life a risky situation in which human beings do not know whether they are making progress in life. According to Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.30, they are simply progressing to the darker region of material existence. Adanta Gobhir Vishantam Tamishram. The Krishna Consciousness movement has therefore been started to give philosophers, scientists, and people in general the proper knowledge about the destiny of life. Everyone should take advantage of this moment and learn the real goal of life.
Yes. Ye udaret karam raja praja dharmeshva shikshayam prajanam samalam bhunte bhagam cha jahati saha.
Translation: any king who does not teach his citizen
Mataji, or
Mataji,
unmute
you
you.
muted, Mataji.
I'm
Muted.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Any king who does not teach his citizens about their respective duties in terms of varna and ashram, but who simply exact tolls and taxes from them, is liable to suffer for the impious activities which have been performed by the citizens. In addition to such degradation, the king also loses his own fortune.
Yeah, this is very applicable for anyone who is taking a leadership position. Guruna sasyat, sajanona sasyat, pitana sasyat, janina sasyat, daivam sasyat, naupatya mrityum. So basically, if one cannot. So this is people generally in Kali Yuga, everybody wants to become a leader, especially Neta. Neta comes from Netra, to guide. Neta word comes from Netra. Radha Gundman speaks about it. From Netra comes the word Neta. Neta means what? Want to become a politician or a leader. Or why? Because when one becomes a leader, one gets money, one gets people, one gets control. But what happens if one doesn't do it in a proper Krishna conscious way? Is mentioned in this purport. It is very alarming. Even for those who come to Krishna consciousness, if you become a leader in Krishna consciousness also, one has to be really Krishna conscious and understand that what it means to be a leader in Krishna consciousness. To practice and to make people also practice who are under them. Wherever they are able to understand this principle of Krishna consciousness and are able to practice it. Yes, Mother, please read purport. Prabhupada is going to speak very important things here.
A king, governor, or president should not take the opportunity to occupy his post without also discharging his duty. He must teach the people within the state how to observe the division of varna and ashrama. If king neglects to give such instructions and is simply satisfied with levying taxes, then those who share in the collection, namely all the government servants and the head of the state, are liable to share in the impious activities of the general masses. The law of nature are very subtle. For example, if one eats in a place which is very sinful, he shares in the resultant reaction of the sinful activities performed there. It is a Vedic system, therefore, for a householder to call Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to eat at ceremonial performances in his house because the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas can immunize him from sinful activities. But it is not the duty of rigid Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to accept invitations everywhere. There is, of course, no objection to taking part in feasts in which prasada is distributed. There are many subtle laws which are practically unknown to people in general, but the Krishna consciousness movement is very significantly distributing all the Vedic knowledge for the benefit of the people of the world.
Yes. Basically, the leader gets the 1/6 reaction. If pious is done by subordinate, he gets a 1/6. King gets a 1/6 of his pious karma. And if the citizens are rebellious and they're impious, he shares 1/6 of their karma. So based on that. So if the followers, the praja is very pious, the next life king ascends to heaven. The praja is impious, all the sinful action of the praja, culmination of 1/6 will come to the king, and therefore his pious activities are lost. Therefore, Prabhupada is mentioning here, even a place where we eat, that also matters. If one eats in a place which is very sinful, he shares in the resultant action of the sinful activities performed there. Can you imagine in present day people who eat in restaurants, who eat in restaurants where veg, non-veg, everything is served, and sometimes people may eat, because many times when people go to Western countries, the veg and non-veg everywhere, everything is same. Or when people go in flight, everything is combined. So what kind of karmic reactions, sinful activities performed there? And therefore, Prabhupada is telling that, therefore, in general, like in the Nectar of Instruction, 4 shlokas speaks about Bhungti Bodhacheva Shadbiti Priti Lakshanam Dadati Priti Kranati Kuhi Makyati Prachati Bhungti Bodhacheva. In that Prabhupada writes, therefore, the purpose of the Krishna conscious movement is, in this movement, the people in general can invite the members of the society, Krishna conscious movement, to their house, and we go to the members' home and we have feast prasadam there. And then in return we invite them to a temple for Sunday feast and they come and take prasad. The whole purpose is people commit so many activities. All the money which comes, there is some amount of sin involved in it. Even if the noblest profession of teaching also. What to speak of different software company where coding is being written for slaughterhouses or for any of the things like casinos, and what to speak of all those things. Therefore, Paul mentioning here that it has to be immunized by inviting the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to their home. But the rigid Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, it doesn't mean that they accept keep an invitation everywhere. Again, Prabhupada tells there is of course no objection in taking part in feast in which prasadam is distributed. If it's prasad, then there is no karmic transaction. But if it is not, then surely it is. So this is Krishna conscious movement is scientifically distributing all this Vedic knowledge for the benefit. So many instructions are here for administration, for Varnas and Ashramas, which Prutu Maharaj section is giving. This is how subtle is the Vedic knowledge and how it has to be performed. तत्प्रजाभ्रातृपिण्डार्थं स्वार्थम् एवनाश्वयवः कुरुतादोक्षजग्धियस्तर्हि मे अनुग्रह कृता. It is coming here. Adokshaja diyas. Because the adoksha diyas means adoksha is Lord Vishnu. Diya matlab mind. Mind is engaged in pleasing Lord Vishnu. Kurutadokshaja diyas. Yes, Rishi Kumar Prabhu, please read your turn 5 shlokas. You are in a, you can read it or you are traveling. Okay, you are traveling in car. No issue.
Prabhuji, you want me to read, Prabhuji?
No issue. Somebody will read because you are. Yes.
My office is just finished. I just left. So
Okay, no issue. We'll ask someone to read. Yes, Sovalakshmi, please read next.
Krishna Maharaj continued, therefore, my dear citizens, for the welfare of your king after his death, you should execute your duty properly in terms of your positions of Varna and Ashram, and should always think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within your hearts. By doing so, you will protect your own interests, and you will bestow mercy upon your king for his welfare after death.
So basically, Prabhupada speaks about the adoksha diya, which is mentioned in the purport here. Kuruto adoksha diyas yat karoshi yad asnasi. Prabhupada will quote that verse here now. Yes, ma'am, please read the purport here.
The words Adokshavidya, meaning Krishna consciousness, are very important in this world. The king and citizens should both be Krishna conscious, otherwise both of them will be doomed to lower species of life after death. A responsible government must...
Why they'll be doomed? Because king is Krishna conscious and citizen is not Krishna conscious. 1/6 of his bad karma, the king has to give all his, they will give the karma. And if a king is impious like Vena and citizens are pious like all the Brahma rishis, there's no elevation. So therefore, both of them has to be pious. Yes, Mother, please read. A responsible government must teach.
The government must teach Krishna consciousness very vigorously for the benefit of all. Without Krishna consciousness, neither the state nor the citizens of the state can be responsible. Vishnu Maharaj therefore specifically requested the citizens to act in Krishna consciousness, and he was also very anxious to teach them how to become Krishna conscious. A summary of Krishna consciousness is given in Bhagavad Gita 9.27. Yet Sarasya Yadasnasi Yat Joshi Yadasya Yet Tapastasi Kaunteya Tatkurusam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give in charity, and whatever penances you undergo should be done in Krishna consciousness or for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If all the people of the state, including the government servants, are taught the techniques of spiritual life, then although everyone is liable to be punished in different ways by the stringent laws of material nature, they will not be implicated.
Okay, when one acts in Krishna consciousness, one will not be implicated by the sinful karmic reactions of this material world because Lord is pleased. Yam tad anumodadvam pitradevarshayo mala karturshastur anujnatus tulyam yat prete tat phalam. So therefore is mentioning to all demigods, forefathers. Yes, Mother, please read translation.
I request all the pure-hearted demigods, forefathers, and saintly persons to support my proposal, for after death the result of an action is equally shared by its doer, its director, and its supporter.
Yeah, doer is the living Jivatma, human being, man, woman. Director, their leaders, the guru, father, mother, supporter, the person who is in the family who's seeing it and not speaking anything about it. All. Therefore, what is that proposal? Adokshada Diya, Ishavasyan principle, which is mentioned in Ishopanishad. Please read Mataji Prabhupada.
The government of Krishna Maharaj was perfect because it was administered exactly according to the orders of the Vedic invention. Krishna Maharaj has already explained that the chief duty of the government is to see that everyone executes his respective duty and is elevated to the platform of Krishna consciousness. The government should be so conducted that automatically one is elevated to Krishna consciousness. King Prithvi therefore wanted his citizens to cooperate fully with him, for if they assented, they would enjoy the same profit as he after death. If Prithu Maharaj, as a perfect king, were elevated to the heavenly planets, the citizens who cooperated by approving of his methods would also be elevated with him. Since the Krishna consciousness movement going on and the present movement is genuine, perfect and authorized and is following the footsteps of Prithu Maharaj, anyone who cooperates with this movement or accepts its principles will get the same result as the workers who are actively propagating Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, this is the benediction Prabhupada was giving. Anybody who is sympathetic, anybody who works for it, anybody who cooperates for it will achieve the same result as the workers who are actively propagating it. Like in case of George Harrison, Prabhupada met George Harrison, and somebody told, Arey, Prabhupada, George Harrison should be initiated. Prabhupada told, no, he's already Harry's son. And Prabhupada never initiated George Harrison. Later on, at the end, when Prabhupada was leaving his body, took the ring and told, give it to George, he's my son. It was given. But later on, when Prabhupada left, we can see from the life, there's one book on George Harrison, Here Comes the Sun. All throughout his life, after that, in 1979, he got married, then he got a son called Dhani, then then he came to India, he came to Mayapur, was also singing, also compiling some songs with Ravi Shankar and other things. At some point of time in his life, in somewhere in 99, last day, 31st December 1999, when he is in his estate at New York, he was attacked by the thieves. There was a burglary in his home, and he was stabbed early morning 3:30, and he was stabbed in his stomach 6 times in order to protect his wife and child and his wife's mother. He attacked the thief, but unconsciously he stabbed him. In order to save himself, he stabbed the thief who wanted to steal. He stabbed George Harrison. And meanwhile, his wife came and took the night bulb and hit on his head. So when he was admitted to the hospital, there the author mentions he was neither envious, he was neither complaining, or neither he was like, why this happened with me? He was completely calm, peaceful, and seeing that, people were amazed. So therefore, here Prabhupada is writing here, anyone who cooperates, anyone who accepts it, this principle will get the same result as the workers who are actively propagating Krishna consciousness. Although he just cooperated with it. And many of the disciples of Prabhupada also we can see when Sridhar Maharaj, when he left his body, practiced it. When he got a big bump in his stomach, so much water inside. The doctor came and was checking with his stethoscope. He asked, what is there, boy or girl? He was laughing. They first called as Jolly Swami. So whether Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, who got bone cancer and he left his body. They were not in bodily consciousness of life. They transcended the material conception. So therefore, what Prabhupada is writing in this purport is not just writing because he wants to fill the purport, but actually he is meaning it. And you can see from what has happened after Prabhupada wrote his purport in 1970, 67, 68, 65, 66, 67, 70. But after that, 50 years down the line, you can see what Prabhupada is writing in his books that are coming in a reality. Asti yajna patirama keshanchit arhasattamah ihamutra cha lakshena lakshante jyotsnavataha kvachit bhuva.
My dear respectable ladies and gentlemen, according to the authoritative statements of Shastra, there must be a supreme authority who is able to award the respective benefits of our present activity. Otherwise, why should there be persons who are unusually beautiful and powerful both in this life and in the life after death?
Yeah, basically, Bruduma is speaking about the first session of our discursive course. Somebody is born ugly, somebody is beautiful, somebody is born rich, somebody is poor, somebody goes to become a PhD, somebody is like never studies. Why there is so much discrepancy in people in this world when you see around? It's because people are born with different karma. That means somebody is avoiding it. Why then? That somebody is avoiding means we are performing it. So there is a judge and there is a victim, and according to what he does, one is punished, one is awarded. So that principle is presenting here to citizens. Prabhupada writes about Sankhya philosophy, how Sankhya philosophy people speak about atheistic philosophy and other things. Prabhupada writes a big purport here about Mayavadis, Nastikavad, atheists, the Buddhist school, some Shankaracharya followers. Basically, when people are performing different sacrifice, the Brahmanas, when the purpose of sacrifice was not lost in Kali Yuga, was lost in Kali Yuga, then the Buddhists came. And Buddha came and told to stop killing the animals. But to bring, so from Sanatana Dharma, Vedic tradition, it went to Buddhist philosophy. So again, to bring back the Buddhism back, Shankaracharya came and he spoke something which was relevant to Buddhism, but also having some feature of Sanatana. It was writing here that Buddhist outwardly denied God, but the philosophy of the impersonalist Shankaracharya was God is there, but you can imagine of what form. That is even much more dangerous, the Mayavad philosophy. Therefore, Prabhupada is speaking that about that. At the end, Prabhupada tells that the personality, who is the God is a person, and he is like Nitya Nityanam, Chetanam. He's speaking Unkata Upanishad, and how there is one nourisher and they are all cooperators. So speaking detailedly in the purport. At the end, it comes. Purpose of the Vedic literature is to Yajnartha Karmano Anyatra Lokayam Karma Vandana. We are supposed to please the Supreme Lord. And when somebody doesn't do it, that is Maya. So Lord is a Purushottama, and we can't deny the existence of the Lord. So it's a big purpose. Basically, the concept is Prabhupada bring the first Adi Leela, the first 4 or 5 chapters of commentary on that. Whatever tattva is being spoken there, Prabhupada is trying to bring that purport. And at last, he's telling Abhyata Sukruti. If unknowingly also people do some benefit, they get benefited. In order to speak of people who knowingly do it. The theory of chance can be best explained in the Vedic literature by the word Ajnata Sukruti, which refer to the pious activities performed without the actor's knowledge. But these are also planned. For example, Krishna comes like ordinary human being. He comes as devotee as Lord Chaitanya, as he sends his representatives, his spiritual master, or pure devotee. These are also planned activities of Supreme Person of Godhead. They come to canvas, educate, and thus a person in the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord gets a chance to mix with them, talk with them, take lessons from them, and somehow or other, conditioned soul surrenders to such personalities, and by intimate association with them, chances to become Krishna consciousness, he is saved from the material condition of life. And therefore, one has to, again here, Prabhupada quotes Sarvadan Parityaja, then he writes, do not fear. The word Sarva Papyabhya means from all sinful activities. A person who surrenders unto him by utilizing the chance to associate. This is a very important line here. The person who surrenders unto him by utilizing the chance to associate with the pure devotee, spiritual master, or other authorized incarnations of the Godhead like Maharaj, is saved by Krishna. Then his life becomes successful. Because Prathama is presenting here that why there is discrepancy, why there is so much of variety in the nature, because why somebody is born beautiful, not so born rich, and other is not so powerful, because based on their prarabdha karma, people are being awarded. And that means Supreme is in control. Basically, he's trying to bring the audience to the understanding that there is Lord in control. I am not God, I am God's representative. And if you have to accept and follow the principles of theism, accept God. First thing is to accept God. And then the second thing is to align with the God. The third principle is to acting for the pleasure of the Lord. The fourth thing is to acting on his behalf. It's step by step. Isha speaks about Ishavasham Idam Sarvam, accepting God. First verse of Ishavasham. The second thing is alignment with them. That those who accept what they do, they can stay for hundreds of years. And then slowly acting for his pleasure and acting on his behalf. Slowly Bhagavad Gita comes surrender, acting for his pleasure, and Bhagavatam acting on his behalf. So this is how the Shruti, Smriti, Nyaya proceed. So this is what same thing Prabhupada, Prutham Maharaj, the standard Vedic version, is trying to present it to the audience. So finished here till 27 verse, and it's already 4:30. Although started late, but it's already 4:30. And tomorrow there is a class by His Holiness Radha Swami Maharaj at Chowpatty. So I'll be not available tomorrow. So continue this with this. Either I'll continue or Krishna will continue from here next Saturday. So if any of you have any questions, you can ask. I'll end now. Any comments? And also you have to take the presentation of first 3 cantos. Regarding that also, after this session, I'll try to if I take next week, I'll try to speak on what presentation, what kind of presentation points and other things we have to take into consideration for the presentation. I'll also discuss that in the next week. By that time, we have this 18th unit booklet. We can prepare for that close book exam. And meanwhile, you can also work on the open book assignments, so that because we are only left with 11 more units, 22nd unit this is going on. The next unit is 23 and 33 is the last unit. So within next 10 months, our whole Bhakti Yoga syllabus will get over. Next 10 months, we continue. So what are pending, open book, closed book, and presentations, we want to complete it. Mostly February will come, we will have the presentations.
Hare Krishna Roji. Also tomorrow there is a class by His Grace Radhesham Prabhuji for all the counselors.
So that's fine. This will not have it tomorrow. Anyway, the
So
counselor.
we will be not there. So,
Okay, chalo. So not have tomorrow any session tomorrow. We'll have next Saturday. So we'll end now. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
thank you.